You're listening to Unleashed with the Dacxi Chain, hosted by Andy Pickering. Hi folks, it is Andy here. Welcome to Unleashed with the Dacxi Chain, a Dacxi podcast where we learn all about the Dacxi Chain and the incredible opportunities it unlocks. Let's get on with the show. This is episode 3 in our special 3-part series acknowledging and celebrating the launch of the very first stage of the Dacxi Chain. So I am, of course, joined again by Dacxi Chain CEO, Mr. Ian Lowe, for our third and final episode. In this episode, we're going to dig deep into the Dacxi Chain roadmap and really explore again the vision of the Dacxi Chain and the future of equity crowdfunding. Welcome back, Ian.
Thanks, Andy. Good to be talking to you.
Let's just dive right back into it, Ian. So I suppose, as I say, we're going to talk about the roadmap of the Dacxi Chain, but just before we do that, just recap again for us, how is Dacxi Chain's innovative approach about to shape the future of equity crowdfunding?
Yep, I'd be happy to. So look, in a nutshell, equity crowdfunding today represents less than 1% of capital that finds its way into growth companies. We think that's a huge missed opportunity, and realizing the opportunity for equity crowdfunding is about offering a future built around scale and enabling that scale so that different platforms essentially can tap into each other's crowds. And equally, those platforms can enrich their catalogue and investment opportunities so that they can attract and build a larger crowd on their own platform. So the Dacxi Chain technology is a set of tools, a set of pipes, if you like, that allows those licensed, established, reputable, existing crowdfunding platforms to connect directly with each other. And we do that under a decentralized model where we're not a competing destination for investors to come, nor are we competing in any way, shape, or form with the partners using the network in trying to find growth companies looking for growth capital. And so that proposition, that Dacxi Chain proposition, we think with a few cycles of growth behind it as we sign more platforms, redraws the lines of the innovation economy by offering equity crowdfunding a much bigger seat at the table, and more specifically, individual investors more and more access to great investment opportunities, and for companies looking for growth capital, access to more capital, faster capital, and over time, potentially even cheaper capital.
Yes, indeed. Capital. All right. I said we'd talk about the roadmap, Ian. So, how should we frame this? Tell us what you can about the Dacxi Chain's strategic blueprint, if you like, for the future of equity crowdfunding, and what that looks like in terms of where we are on the roadmap at the moment. And of course, where we hope to get to in the future. Lay it out.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So look, the core proposition is about saying we've gone out and researched the market. We've built some requirements. We've gone and developed a launch platform, and we've signed and integrated some foundation partners. And then the first deal will flow through those pipes. We expect that first deal to be successful. And at the end of that first deal, we're really going to refocus into 2 core streams of work. The first is, spreading the good news. So going out and sharing the detail of what we've built, how it works, the benefits associated with that, and all of the insights from that first deal with other partners and starting to build the network, because it is that network effect and the compound growth in deal flow that we get from that network effect that will ultimately realize the vision of providing real scale through this technology to the equity crowdfunding industry. So that stream of work really kicks off in earnest at that point. In combination with that, there's a whole range of new product features that we want to bring into the technology itself. And so these are features that are focused on providing additional value to the two primary beneficiaries, being the issuer, that is the company raising capital, and the investor that's actually putting the money into that business in exchange for equity. And so there's a range of ways in which we think we can bring incremental value to the table of both of those parties. The first, as it relates to the issuer, is to realize that they are ultimately really their interests are represented by the platform that they partner with to help them raise the capital. And so for those platforms, we are looking to bring insights around deal flow, a whole bunch of different metrics that we can look at across the entire network, not just within individual platforms themselves, and help them learn from those insights as to how they can more successfully attract companies in the first place to look at equity crowdfunding as their chosen source of capital for growth. And equally, how they can help those growth companies effectively market their business in order to close a successful capital raising round through the crowd. So they're the benefits on the issuer side of the transaction. But then on the investor side, as we start to enrich the catalogue of investment opportunities for those investors, we believe there are some really great tools that we can bring into the experience they're having with each of those local crowdfunding platforms. So remember, those investors do not come to Dacxi Chain. They access these opportunities through their local licensed crowdfunding platform, the platform that they might already be using, for example. But there are some tools that we can offer those crowdfunding partners of ours, which in turn they can expose to individual investors on their own platforms, which we think will help build the confidence of those investors around what is the right opportunity for me, how do I best understand that opportunity, and what does the path to harvest, including potential timeframes, start to look like. And of course, when we talk about harvests, being a blockchain-enabled infrastructure, it means that we can offer individual investors that path to a harvest event, the time frame of which is their own choosing, because through a tokenized shareholding, they can access secondary markets and they can liquidate some or all of those shares in the time frame that they choose.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, thank you, Ian. I suppose as we come to the end of this special three-part episode series, we've had the launch event on the 27th, which listeners or watchers, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sure that is on YouTube as well. Do suggest that you watch that if you have not already. If you have, you're probably already very excited for what comes next. But just before we kind of, tease people with some anticipation in terms of what does come next, Ian, we'll finish off with that, just kind of that first deal that is coming through. Just any final thoughts or advice for people that are interested perhaps in getting involved and understanding where the trajectory of crowdfunding or equity crowdfunding is going? Just as we start to wrap up, where do you think this is all heading, Ian?
Look, a number of the people that are listening to this discussion would already be participating in equity crowdfunding, or at some point have in the past. But there's a bunch of people that also won't have. And so what we would say to them is, look, equity crowdfunding is growing with or without Dacxi Chain. Okay, it's going through a cycle of growth. 2023 is a particularly challenging market for securing capital for any company, public or private. So 2023, we might see a flattening on the previous years, but beyond that, we can already start to see signs that growth trajectory will continue as it has over the last couple of years. So equity crowdfunding is growing, but really what we're talking about here is exponential growth over the next 3 or 4 market cycles, let's call it over the next 3 to 5 years, where we give equity crowdfunding through this network effect a seat at the table, well beyond the less than 1% that it currently represents of the innovation economy. And so what that really does is it shifts the balance of power away from the few that control so much of that growth capital in the form of venture capitalists and the like. And it swings that pendulum back to empower or democratize investing for the individual investor and the power and the strength of the crowd. We think that's enormously important in terms of that imbalance that we see today. And we see a significant number of benefits flowing. So to answer your question, I would encourage people to take a closer look, to register on a local crowdfunding platform. We'll be talking about who our partners are and how they can register on those platforms in great detail. So we'll be helping people get involved, but we would encourage people to get involved, register, take a closer look, start to understand what investment opportunities actually are available to you. It's a lot broader, it's a lot more diverse and a lot more exciting than a lot of people realize. And to find the right opportunity is the entry point. Find that right opportunity that you either understand or resonates for some reason with you as the entry point. And as always, with any kind of wealth building, take a medium to long-term view. That's absolutely critical. So diversify and take that medium to long-term view. And the first step really needs to be something that you understand or appeals to you in some particular way. That's the ideal way to start the journey as it relates to investing in high-growth private companies.
Yeah, great thoughts, Ian. And look, I very much agree. I think it's such a great point. If you can find something that is personally interesting to you and something you believe in, it just makes your conviction in whatever investment that might be much stronger. And it means that you can have the conviction to have that long-term view, as you say, and you've got to have that long-term view. That time in the market, and if you have a belief or a passion or an interest in whatever that particular sector or field may be, it just makes the investing ride that much more fulfilling. Great words, Ian. Thank you so much. I suppose just to finish off this 3-part series, anything you can tease us with in terms of that first announcement? We know it's coming soon of that first deal that is going to go through the various partners in the Dacxi Chain network around the world. We know you're not going to tell us exactly what it is now, but anything you can say on that, or just when it's coming up, take it away, please.
Oh, look, it's coming very soon. It's only a matter of days and weeks until all of the detail will be revealed. But I also just want people to know that we're going to step them through it. So we're going to make it very clear how they can get involved if that's something that they'd like to do. We'll be sharing more detail about the specifics of that deal, the time frame in which we expect that deal will open and then close. So all of that will be shared. There'll be quite a bit of detail that'll be forthcoming. So we're obviously really excited about being able to do that.
Absolutely. Heard it here first, folks. So all you can do really is just keep it locked to the various Dacxi Chain communication channels. Also, look, if you're a first-time podcast listener here on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or perhaps on YouTube, please do make sure you're subscribed to whatever your favorite or preferred podcast provider is, so you can be informed when each new episode drops. But hey, that is it really. That brings us to the end of our special 3-part series acknowledging the launch of the first phase of the Dacxi Chain. Thanks for being here, Ian, and I'm sure we'll see you very soon. Cheers.
Thanks, Andy. Good to talk to you.
All right, team. Thank you again for listening. All the best, and bye for now.